got a confession, folks. Don't worry, it's not going to be like that bit in For Your Eyes Only when Roger Moore goes into the confessional and says, excuse me, Father, but I have sinned. And Q says, that's putting it mildly, 007. But my confession is this. I've never been here before, never been to Bournville, which is slightly shameful, isn't it? I'm born in the West Midlands, I identify with the West Midlands. It never quite does it for me, though, saying I'm from the Black Country or saying I'm from the West Midlands, because I am really like this place, historically in North Worcestershire. I think if you're Stourbridge born and bred, you still think before the county boundaries were changed. And this place also was in North Worcestershire. And it has that kind of leafy, enclavey feel to me, a sense of separateness from the world around it, just as Stourbridge does from the rest of the Black Country. And so it's somewhere that I should feel an enormous sense of kinship with. But thinking in the abstract, if you were going to design a resort like Skegness or Dungeness or separateness, how would you denote its separateness? If you'll forgive the excruciating pun, I like it. You may not. Would it be, would everyone have to read Separate Tables by Terence Rattigan and burst in through the patio doors like Burt Lancaster wearing that raincoat that formulated my ideas of what looked good as a raincoat for the rest of their life? But I digress within my own first digression. Job's a good one. Go on, Lee. How would you denote that a place was separate from its environs? What would you do to make it stand out?
I struggle with this a little bit, only from the point of view that I feel like it might start straying into this is a local shop for local people territory.
There's nothing for you here. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a tricky one. So I don't know. I'm minded of the Basque Country, Euskal, which kind of like has a language that's not related to anything anywhere. So I think the first thing would be to have a language that is completely unintelligible to everybody else in the world. We've almost got that in the West Midlands.
Say you're not far off that in Wensfield, are you?
How about you, Dave? What do you think?
Would it be terribly boring to say it's got to have its own football team?
No, not at all.
Well, I think it would be, but it does. It's like, well, we had new neighbours in the streets, and we all decided, we didn't do it in the end, to go out and buy Notts County football strip. And I thought, if we could get everybody in the street wearing a Notts County football strip, and it's in Erdington, by the way, then that would
certainly denote some separateness. Yeah, no, but you're right. That's part of the presence of a town. We were in Hay-on-Wye discussing the fact that Dudley was the largest town without a league football team, and it's one of those things that doesn't occur to you before it's pointed out.
The train station, I never picked up on that. I watched your thing from last time.
God bless you, sir.
No, that's all right. Talking of Ross-on-Wye, it was all ex-Brummies when we went there, and they were quite annoyed when a bunch of Brummies turned up.
Yeah,
so it did give them, their specialness.
Well, I suppose that is.
Ironically, when we went to Ross-on-Wye, we actually claimed it for the West Midlands.
Yes, we did claim for the West Midlands on the grounds that no one was listening to what we were saying anyway. But that there is a connection there, though, Dave, isn't there? Because just like people were transplanted from the Black Country into Cannock in Staffordshire and Telford, etc., people were and places, actual buildings were taken and brought here. Selly Manor was reconstructed here. It was a greenfield site, obviously bought by the Cadbury brothers for the extension of their factory, which had outgrown them. It was their father's behest, and the whole industry, the whole identity of the place is imported, isn't it? So I suppose you're onto something.
Longbridge.
Just thinking further through it, I think you'd need your own architectural style, you'd need your own religion. Or am I going too macro here, Cummings?
Yeah,
am I going away from the Cummings World parochial style of what you were thinking about?
Now, to be quite frank.
The only thing I think this place has got in common with Birmingham is it both starts with a B. I'm from Birmingham. If I sometimes I do this, list places in my head that's in Birmingham, I never think of Bournville.
No. And I think that's a nice point to leave this little section on, because I think it doesn't spring to mind, does it? No. In the public consciousness either. No, you're right, Dave. this is the rest house, a little central visual facet, fulcrum of visual excitement, to recoin an old CYW phrase, and it's modelled very closely on the yarn market in Dunster in Somerset. It's pretty much identical from the roof line up, whereas below it's an open market in Somerset. And I suppose there's probably people who've lived here all their life that would be shocked to find that out, or to have a picture of the yarn market shown them. Just as I was in Stourbridge when I realised, aged about 35, that the gates to Bury Steeples Park by my house were modelled on the gates of Buckingham Palace. And you look at them and you think, oh yeah, obviously. Right, but they were done by a guy called William Alexander Harvey, who stamped his presence on this place, just like Richard Booth did, transformatively in Hale Y. And he built the primary school, the infant school, the Quaker meeting house, which is also modelled on another building, a Mancunian Church of Christ Scientist. He also, interestingly enough, if you're someone like me, is responsible for Dudley Council offices, the Neo-Georgian Fantasia, which is still such a striking presence in Dudley. It's an absolute buster. In fact, I think it is the quintessence visually of what a buster is. So, what do you think of as being absolutely brilliant visually in terms of buildings? I say that with no time to think about it whatsoever. I just say, right, great looking building.
Skylines, Birmingham from the Spaghetti Junction on the M6, and you look and I think I'm reminded of the start of Married with Children. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, Love and Marriage. Yeah.
It goes in my head. Yeah. I must admit, I've never really been or heard of Bournville too much. I've lived in Birmingham all my life.
Well, it's my first time. I wonder why that is. Why have neither of us ever been before?
I suspect that the reason that you two don't know Bournville very well.
Do you actually have an idea about it?
I have a very strong hunch.
Go on.
There are no pubs here.
What are you trying to say?
Well, I'm trying to say there are no pubs in Bournville.
Dave's off.
I think he's... Where's he going to Sturchley for a pint?
Yeah, I think he's off to Sturchley for open doors.
Joking apart, of course.
Yeah.
This being a Quaker village.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's done it a lot
by design. By design, has no pubs.
Yeah, absolutely.
You coming back, Dave?
You never said. Must have got the wrong idea about your film.
People do. Lovely, thoroughly unjarring, heterogeneous assortment, a lovely jumble of architectural idiosyncrasies and flourishes, walking around this lovely quiet place, absorbing all those quiet touches, little concave dormers peeping from the undulations of roof lines, tripartite Palladian echoes, Venetian windows, and there behind me, I was just wondering when's going to appear the first sight of Belgium, of the Netherlands, the stepped gables behind me, all cohering into that lovely edifice. There's so much care been taken here. When George Cadbury bequeathed the school, he built it so far above spec that it's incomprehensible in today's terms. He was given guidelines by the council and built it more spaciously, more expensively, more humanely than he needed to. Doesn't happen often, that, does it? More's the pity. No wonder there's so few for sale signs here.
Or any for sale signs. I've never seen any. It's what a thing that is to think about, that someone spent more money than they needed to on a building. I mean, he's an individual, obviously, but whether it be an individual or a council or
Yeah.
a property developer.
In this age of corner cutting.
Value engineering they
Yes.
call it.
Yeah, what a euphemism.
Value engineering.
Value engineering.
Of which there is a great deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's we were talking earlier, weren't we, about capitalism, about faith, and anywhere that manifests its faith, or even its fiscal values in social action, is very difficult to criticise, isn't it, in normal terms?
Yeah, because I think we're dealing with, in that age, aren't we? In that age, a very different kind of capitalist.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were some utterly rapacious ones like they seem to be now, but capitalism wasn't eating itself at the time, it was investing in the good of its workers.
Yeah, indeed. Perhaps a roseate glow of the past, who knows, but it certainly feels like this place has benefited, doesn't it?
Yes, hugely. Lest we get too blinded in our rose-tinted spectacles, though. Was he the norm, or was he the exception? I know there were a few others, weren't there?
Yeah, well, I think you know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I do, don't I?
Well, Dan, I've had a lovely day.
Good.
It's been absolutely
me too.
beautiful here.
It is.
The sun's out now, the trees, the houses are really nice, people are really friendly, and I really want to smash the place up.
Really?
I hate it.
Is that just a strain of contrariness in your own character, though?
No.
Okay, but do you think that you want to rebel in the same way as perhaps I did? Well, I imagined going to Oxford, and I always wondered whether I would have played up the imaginary working class hero, or whether I'd have been assimilated and absorbed by it, because this place does have some of that cloistered solitude, doesn't it? That separateness, as we were saying.
You don't get many visitors here, do you?
I don't know, actually. I don't know how many visitors you get. In fact, you were saying earlier, weren't you, Lee, that if this were anywhere else.
Yeah, it kind of is well known, isn't it? But it's not
in a Birmingham way. Famous.
In a Stuart Lee, not celebrating your own culture way.
Absolutely,
yeah. If it was Greater Manchester or down south somewhere, it probably had to be punching, much more
Liverpool,
above its weight.
Talking about it.
Yeah, well, we'd be able to hear about it from here, and I do like Liverpool, by the way, folks.
And me too.
But yeah, there's a Birmingham quietness in its fame. I've always been conscious of that the West Midlands, and it's one of the lovely things about the West Midlands, does not go around shouting from the rooftops, and the lovely undulating rooftops with their small concave dormer windows. But I think, go on, sorry, you want to interject?
No, I'm just thinking of those lovely windows and what we could do.
Dave's been feeling like that all day ever since we first arrived, and the guards at Cadbury escorted us off the cricket green.
Yes, it was an unusual and inauspicious start to the day's filming, wasn't it?
Who do they think they are?
Yeah, well, we did. Well, I don't know.
Well, we were on the grass.
Yeah,
they were friendly as they ensured that we left.
Yeah, they said that from a distance the guy thought I was Brad Pitt, which obviously happens a lot. You know what I mean? I imagine it happens to him too.
You got married on the same day, didn't you?
Yeah. We've lasted a little bit longer. We overshadowed his proceedings a little bit. I think maybe that's what caused the original tension and rift in their marriage.
Well, you're a better catch.
You're not wrong. Echoes of the courthouse in Lempster here, Selly Manor, obviously from Selly Oak, and the Crook House from Minworth nearby, 14th century and 13th century, yet more contenders for oldest building in Birmingham, transported from elsewhere. Just such a monumental undertaking apart from anything else, but also very much in keeping. All of the original suite of buildings here, the ones built, purpose-built for the model village, are to create a certain set of values and a certain philanthropic air And these are aesthetic in their purpose, but even that is meant to feed in to the general atmosphere and ambience of the place. It's just an astonishing idea, isn't it? That the buildings moving, not just through time, not just like Philip Larkin's Arundel Tomb, that supine stationary voyage. In their sense, it wasn't stationary. They actually moved. And I think they were supposed to create almost an idealistic picture of Tudor England, which is strangely in keeping here in this Birmingham suburb. So we're here in the lee of the Quaker meeting house, fairly atypical for a Quaker meeting house. It's deliberately a little bit above spec, like I said before. I don't mean that in a pejorative or derogatory way, but famous Quaker meeting houses somewhere like Jordan's in Buckinghamshire, Come to Good in Cornwall, they're famous for that sort of luminous sense of quiet, that austerity, the stripped back nature. That's so much in keeping thematically with everything here, isn't it? It's just a series of sloping intersections of land surrounded by strips of road, like so many other millions of places, but there's a sort of sense of precious quiet here. There's a sense of gentility, the urbane rather than the urban. And it's put me in mind of Jonathan Coe, because he's written about it recently. We've all three, I think, read Bournville by Jonathan Coe, and it's so much it's so emblematic of his writing, because unlike all the other writers I like, they're luminous and show-offy and purple in their prose. People like Jonathan Meades or F. Scott Fitzgerald. He is so quiet, he's so without ego. His voice, it's like they used to say of the Dutch masters, there's no marks of handling, the paintwork is not visible and you can't see what he's doing. And a lot of the time, not a lot is happening in his novels, is it?
Nothing happens, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
It's just like Bournville.
Yeah, the world happens at a distance.
Very, I found it very, when he was talking about Europe, all the bureaucracy and the minutiae.
Yeah.
All these things that don't really matter, given so much importance in the novel.
Yeah, I think so. And the way that grows, obviously, into the Boris Johnson reveal is stunningly well handled, isn't it? But no, it's a great piece. But as I say, he's my favourite modern novelist, I think. How atypical of my oeuvre, but everything I want.
Can I do my thing?
Do you mean, by thing, do you mean the chocolate fingers thing?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's not going to fit anywhere, so it may as well go here. Go on.
Thank you. Cadbury, Bournville Fingers, you started putting milk in them. Why?
Well, they
were good for vegans and now they're not.
I wonder what was the thought process? I mean, they're talking about the chocolate wars and all of that in Bournville. How did that happen?
It was supposed to be such a nice
that
guy.
nicely there.
Yeah, but in what sense?
In the sense that you changed the subject.
No, I wasn't changing the subject. I was giving you
why
an
not?
opportunity. I was giving you an opportunity to really, think about why that happened. Like, who did that to you? Who took that step, that decisive anti-vegan step, and why?
That's what I'd like to know.
Boris Johnson.
I don't think so.
Unilever.
Kraft.
Is he a man?
Oh yeah, it's Kraft, isn't it?
Oh right, no. Oh yes, it's like
Not so
cheese prices.
philanthropic now, are they?
No.